What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, I want to give a shout out to a couple of subscribers or longtime supporters. Really, truly appreciate you guys. Much respect to the brother Aaron for once again showing love to the channel with the donation. And I saw your video request. I'll probably do a video on that topic tomorrow. Salute to you. Also want to give a shout out to the man, the myth, the legend, the brother Robert Mason, always showing love as he does with a donation to the channel via the PayPal as well. So salute to you guys for showing love. I want to salute everybody that always, come by with comments or support the Patreon, spread the word of the channel, and at times monetary donations. Salute to you all. So I want to talk about something that Dreamers Pro, shout out to Dreamers Pro. If you haven't subscribed to Dreamers Pro, please subscribe to his platform. He talked about something in a recent video that's very, very true. And he talked about one of the reasons why he has LeBron James, why he finally decided to take LeBron James out of his top 5. It was the recent shenanigans with his son, but he also talked about how he finally had an epiphany about why LeBron James's legacy is shaky. And he talked about whataboutisms, okay? And whataboutisms is a strategy where something that's a legitimate topic of concern or criticism is addressed to someone that is, say, a supporter of that position or person. And what they do is they try to flip it and try to negate what you're saying by bringing up something else. Oftentimes, the point they bring up is try to remove that other person or thing away from responsibility and bring up other people who they think negates what they did. But you know what I'm trying to say. Basically making excuses. And when you look at it, sure, to a certain extent, we do that with all of our favorite players. To a certain extent, we might make an excuse here or there. Everybody, even Michael Jordan, has some flaws on their resume as far as losing some games, not performing well in certain games. We'll make some excuses, somewhat. But no fan base in the NBA, I don't think any fan base, period, ever engages in whataboutisms as much as LeBron James fans. I'm not talking about all of them. I'm talking about the extremes. They make excuses for everything with this guy. If they bring up that Michael Jordan was 1-9 in his first 10 playoff games, we can counter and say, well, LeBron missed the playoffs his first 2 years. Then they'll say, well, he didn't have much talent on his team. Those teams weren't really that good. Then we can counter and say, well, it wasn't that the Eastern Conference was that strong back then. I mean, we're talking about 2003, 4, 5. I mean, you had the Pacers, and they pretty much were demolished after the Malice at the Palace. The Sixers were a good team, but they weren't a powerhouse. Yeah, you had the Pistons. You had the Nets, but we saw how they were just destroyed in the finals by the Lakers and easily dispatched by the Spurs. So it wasn't like there was these powerhouses in the East. But when you compare it to Michael Jordan in his beginning of his career, he still had to contend with the Boston Celtics, who were in the peak of their dominance. You still had the Sixers team with Julius Erving, Moses Malone, Andrew Toney. Then, of course, you had the Pistons getting ready to rise as a power. You had Dominique Wilkins in the Hawks. So there were definite teams And remember, it was fewer teams, so they had to play those guys more often. You see what I'm saying? But we don't try to make excuses for when Jordan wasn't winning. We might explain something, but these guys always make excuses. Then you bring up the losing finals record. What do they say? Well, they played against one of the greatest teams of all time, the Golden State Warriors, and they were unbeatable, and that's why they lost. Okay. That same Warriors team, weren't they down 3-1 to that OKC Thunder team? Now, they blew a 3-1 lead. A lot of it had to do with the incompetence of Billy Donovan, but that proved that they weren't that unbeatable. I mean, they literally were one win away from not even making it to the NBA Finals. So while it is an accomplishment to come out from a 3-1 deficit, they came out from a 3-1 deficit. They were on the verge of losing. You know what I mean? Then that same team, Kevin Durant team, weren't they having some problems with the Clippers? Remember in 2019, that the Clipper team was giving them problems? So, look, at the end of the day, they make a lot of excuses for everything. LeBron's performance in the finals in 2010. Oh, well, everybody has a bad series. Not like that. Not like that. Not like that. Oh, the Mavericks were one of the great defensive teams of all time. They were good, but I don't know about them being the Spurs or the bad boy Pistons on defense. If your guy's the GOAT, he should still be dominating. Michael Jordan went up against the bad boy Pistons and still averaged 30 points per game against them. So for a guy to be scoring 8 points against the likes of J.J. Barrera, they don't really have an excuse for that. So what do? They deflect and try to bring up something that Jordan struggled at. You know what I mean? This is what they do. They make excuses. Well, the first finals loss, I mean, you don't really count that. He was only 22. Okay, why do we do that? Okay, since that finals loss don't count for LeBron, right? Should we hold Jimmy Butler's 2020 finals loss against him? Because clearly, with Dragic hurt, I believe Bam was hurt, weren't they overmatched? I don't see people not, giving LeBron credit for that finals loss. Finals victory. So why in 2007, since he gets so much credit for that run, when he actually loses in the finals, it doesn't count? Or, when you bring up the fact that the Boston Celtics constantly derailed what was supposed to have been a Kobe versus LeBron finals matchup, that team was specifically built to beat LeBron, which is absolute nonsense. If anything, that team was built to contend with the likes of the Pistons, other teams that mattered in the conference at that time. Yeah, LeBron went on that little run to the finals, and it wasn't just him, by the way. If you really look at each of those, if you really looked at those games, many times it was other guys that stepped up and made big shots. But because a lot of the LeBron fans don't even remember that series, they were just babies or little kids, they go off of what they hear from Nick Wright and other people. I watched that finals run. That's when I was a huge LeBron James fan. And while LeBron did have some strong performances in that playoff run, in particular that Game 5 on the road against Detroit. But more often than not, it was a team effort. Because look, LeBron James in 2018 in that playoff run, didn't he average something like 34, 35 points a game, 9 or 8 rebounds, 8 assists? In 2007, he averaged 25 points a game in the playoffs. That's good. And I think he shot like 42% from the floor. You see what I'm saying? Like, the guy had help. When you bring up the recent losses, people say, "Oh, well, the roster isn't that good." Well, that wasn't what you were saying going into last season. I saw articles saying that was the deepest uh, Lakers roster ever. So it is a pattern with this guy where his fans or people who always want to praise him, they tend to always negate when this guy fails. They try to explain away all of his failures, all of his shortcomings. So yeah, when you think about it, if you have to keep doing that, is he really a GOAT candidate or top two? We don't do that with Bird. We don't do that with Jordan. I didn't do that with Magic. When I try to explain certain things with Wilt, people don't want to hear that. But with LeBron, he gets this carte blanche, excuse. He get this carte blanche excuse, you know, pass from all of his fans and the media or the little media. So yeah, there's some truth there. But tell me what you guys think.